All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to this explainer where we're digging into the pitch and conceptual framework for a sci-fi drama called Night Civilization. What we're looking at here is a story and concept document put together by Khurshid Anwar. Now, this is specifically designed for prospective buyers, producers, and directors. And honestly, it offers a fascinating look at how you build a world that feels terrifyingly immediate. We're going to break down exactly how this pitch is constructed to sell, not just a movie, but a fully realized, lived-in universe.
Right off the bat, we get this killer logline. The world didn't end, it just stopped going outside. I mean, that hooks you instantly, right? It sets the stage perfectly for a really grounded, slow burn thriller set in a completely nocturnal version of 2041. There's no alien invasion here, there are no giant meteors. It's literally just an extrapolation of documented climate science, where the daytime has simply become unsurvivable.
So, today we're going to explore this pitch through 5 key areas. Welcome to 2041, a race against time, the human stakes, an honest resolution, and finally, the market opportunity. Starting things off with Section 1, Welcome to 2041, the Night Civilization. Okay, picture your daily routine, but completely flipped upside down. In this version of 2041, daytime temperatures hit 72 degrees Celsius. Because of that extreme heat, the US government has issued a daytime prohibition order, making it straight up illegal to go outside between 6 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. Society hasn't collapsed, it just adjusted. We're talking a 2 a.m. breakfast versus an 8:30 p.m. school bus. It beautifully highlights the dark comedy and the sheer absurdity of a society that shifted its entire schedule but held on to its old language. People still say morning when they actually mean dusk. They're sitting in rush hour traffic at 3 a.m. and going to weddings at 11 p.m. It's a world completely flipped on its head. And the wild part is, nobody even notices anymore. It's really fascinating how the pitch maps out the economy of this new reality. It doesn't just hand us the weather report, it gives us the economic reality. On one hand, you have the wealthy living in these underground estates, paying $40,000 a year in maintenance just for real trees and artificial sky cycles. But on the other hand, the working class are stuck in shelter blocks, dealing with rationed water and shared cooling loops. Just 50 feet of solid bedrock physically separates these two realities. It creates this literal, inescapable map of a massive class divide. That brings us to Section 2, a race against time, and the crisis in Zone 7B. 63%. That number right there introduces the primary ticking clock of our pitch. The whole narrative thrust hinges on a deeply grounded crisis, which is a failing underground cooling junction. Our protagonist, municipal pipe technician James Calloway, has actually filed 7 critical failure reports over 7 months, and they've all just been ignored in some bureaucratic queue. Meanwhile, corporate analyst Sarah Osei realizes her company, Solace Corporation, has actively covered up this failing system for 6 months. And that 63%? That is the dropping pressure gauge. It's literally threatening the lives of 6,000 completely unaware people who are sealed beneath the surface in Shelter Block 7B. This timeline maps out the unauthorized, totally thrilling repair mission undertaken by James and Sarah. And just look at the pacing here, it's incredible. At 8:15 p.m., the city wakes up. By 1:30 a.m., which is basically their afternoon, James and Sarah meet up in a diner to hatch a plan. At 2:30 a.m., they're descending into a maintenance tunnel equipped with the wrong tools and forced to use improvised solutions. By 3:47 a.m., they narrowly save the junction, pushing that gauge back up to 91%. It is a tightly wound, slow-burn thriller taking place entirely in the dark. Moving right along to Section 3, the human stakes, focusing on those core emotional threads. You see, beyond the mechanical tension of just fixing a broken pipe, we really need to showcase how this project shines as a character-driven prestige drama. The pitch is built on 5 interconnected emotional threads that are constantly firing in every single scene. We've got James's failing marriage to Nadia, which is just worn down by their opposite shifts. We have the sibling stakes with Sarah's brother. There's this unspoken connection forming between James and Sarah down in that tunnel. We've got the immense class divide. And of course, the dark comedy of this absurd world. All of this ensures the audience is deeply invested in the people, not just the flashy sci-fi spectacle. Notice how the narrative constantly bounces between the macro and the micro stakes. Sure, there are 6,000 lives hanging in the balance, which is huge. But for Sarah, who, by the way, filed a career-ending whistleblower disclosure just to make this rescue happen, the stakes are intensely personal. One of those 6,000 lives is her 19-year-old brother, Aiden. He's sealed underground, right above that failing pipe, just studying for a midterm, totally clueless about his sister's desperate attempt to save him. The narrative also grants this really
profound, unsentimental humanity to the wealthy estate owner, Victor Hartley. When his personal assistant, Elena, fails to show up for work because she happens to be sealed in that failing block, Victor leverages his immense wealth and influence. He makes a direct phone call to bump James's repair report up to the front of the queue. Now, he's not absolved of his privilege, but he does the one right thing that's available to him. It's just incredibly authentic character work.
Which leads us to Section 4, an honest resolution, and its bittersweet truths. What truly elevates this script for those prestige buyers is its deeply grounded, authentic resolution. You are not going to find any typical Hollywood explosions or perfect bow-tied triumphs here. James manages to fix the pipe. 6,000 people sleep right through it and will never even know his name. The pipe holds, but doing the right thing doesn't magically fix his life. James and his wife still separate. And perhaps most importantly, the daytime prohibition order is extended. The sun does not adjust its behavior. The world simply continues spinning, and people just carry what they must carry. Finally, we land on Section 5, the market opportunity. Why this film and why right now? This pitch very clearly identifies a massive void in the current climate disaster genre. People are kind of over stale CGI destruction. What audiences are craving now are stories about post-disaster human adaptation. It shows what comes after the disaster, once the extreme has just become the ordinary. It focuses on human emotion rather than preachy lectures. And the questions it asks about what we owe each other have massive global appeal, perfectly positioning this project right at the intersection of genre ambition and prestige drama. And looking at it from a strictly business perspective, this breakdown clearly outlines some really versatile avenues for distribution. This isn't just a one-off script. It's highly malleable intellectual property. It could be a major prestige acquisition for international OTT platforms like Netflix or Apple TV+. It could be a theatrical feature with an A-list director and serious award circuit potential, or it could easily be adapted into a limited series, because the sheer infrastructure of this nocturnal civilization contains virtually infinite stories across different zones with different characters. We're already seeing heat domes and stay-indoors advisories happening in the real world right now. So this pitch? It's not some distant, unbelievable fantasy. It's an immediate reflection of our actual environment. It leaves us with this haunting question. If this becomes permanent, what does humanity actually do? Grounding the story in today's climate reality ensures that any film executive viewing this pitch explainer is going to be absolutely desperate to read the full script. It shows that humanity adapts, we rebuild, and we continue, which, when you think about it, might be the most devastating yet hopeful thought of all.